Hiya, it's Amanda here from Lolli Lulu Crafts, and today we're going to be doing a project for using our silhouette saturated canary images and putting that together to make hopefully a gorgeous card. So I'm not going to be actually showing the colouring today. We're going to be focusing more on the card making side of it and what we're doing with the silhouette. So what we're going to start with is actually getting our saturated canary images and putting those into our Silhouette Studio. So we've opened a clean mat and we're going to go up to File and Import to my library. Waiting for that. And then go into the folder that has the images that you want. So our pictures, Digi Images, Digi Stamps, and then Saturated Canary, and find the one. So the second image is this one here because there's two images that I want. So pop that in. Okay, so we've got our two images in. So then we're going to click on that and go back to our library and click on that. They've just sat on top of each other for the minute. And then I want to go over to my home button here. Actually, I think I could do it like that. Yeah, just clicking on the page button up there. And I want to change to A4 landscape. And then I want to take them down. So again, I want the home button, then I want scale. So we want to click on lock aspect ratio. Take it down to 5 inches height, apply, and then it's already got the lock there, so then we just change that to 5 and apply. And all of this stuff we will go through in more detail about why I'm doing what I'm doing when we do the silhouette seminar on that particular feature, so don't worry too much at this point if it's not something you're familiar with. So then we're going to place these like so. Somehow I can see the sizing better that way. Then we're going to go to our trace window up here, select trace area, click and drag around that area. I'm going to zoom in a bit because I think that'll be easier. And then we're going to keep going until we get our filters sorted. Do our low pass filter as well, so that should give us enough. What we want is a yellow line here that is completely complete all the way around the edge, and that should be enough when we then do the select trace, apply the trace method, and we do trace out of edge. It should just, yeah, if it's solid enough and there's no kind of gaps, and I'll show you what I mean by that, then it will trace around the outline, the outside yellow line. If you had, like it will happen on this one, I'm convinced, and I'll show you, but if you have a gap in the yellow line actually then effectively kind of comes, like if you went in there, it would kind of go, if there was a gap in here, the yellow line, the outside edge would go all the way around on the inside, so, or what appears to be the inside. So you'll see that, I think, in a minute with this other one, because I think looking at her, you're going to have almost certainly some yellow lines. Okay, so then we're going to bring that up. Click on that, and then if I zoom in and in again, let's see, I think like here there's some gaps in the yellow line, and I think that will bring it in, like, and here I think what will happen is it will go in these pieces. So let's have a see. Trace out edge. We may have been lucky, it may have just, no, you can see here on the arm and also all around the legs. So there's obviously gaps and all on the hair, so we just need to do a little bit more work on that. So that's what I mean, is that if you look in closely here, what it thinks is that the yellow line has gone, because of the gap that was in there, the yellow line outside has gone all the way around here. So it's just an it is seeing it absolutely precisely, the outside edge. So we need to just be a little bit more. There we go, and then I'm going to zoom it out a bit so I can see her. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn up the threshold. What you find by turning up the threshold, what you're doing is increasing the amount of the line colour that it will actually touch. So if you want to sort of, again, in more detail on this, is to go back. I've done a video in depth on this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going in depth on this. So we're just going to go to the 50%, because as soon as we went higher, it went a bit wrong, and then we're just going to increase our low pass filter a little bit as well, so that, as you can see, started to increase where the yellow had gone. And then let's just see, I think that's absolutely fine. So that's going to be good for what we need. So you can see, just by fiddling with those buttons and understanding what they're for, you can get it to work for you. So as I say, definitely go back and look at the previous video for more information about this, because as I said, I'm not sort of doing, this video isn't going to be about in detail about how you would do the trace, as I've already done the video. Okay, so we've got our trace line done. So now we want to go to our registration marks, and we're going to pop those in place and making sure that our images are nicely within those. Okay, so that's ready now for printing, etc. So what we will do next is click the print key and send it to my printer. I will then colour that in, and then I will pop it on my silhouette mat and load it through and click cut here, or center silhouette, and it will then detect the registration marks and cut around those edges. Okay, so we're going to get on with that, and I will come back to you shortly. So I've now finished colouring in those images, and I'm ready to cut those out on my silhouette. But just before I do that, I realised that I wanted to create a scroll with my verse in it. So I went onto the silhouette store and I found a scroll that I really liked, and I downloaded that. So let me just go to my library here and go to my recent downloads, and in order to find it easier, I'm just going to put in the scroll, which I'd already typed. It's come up here, and I'm just going to double click on that. So that's the scroll. Now obviously you can see here that there's one section there those are in a different colour to this bit, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it just as it is, and then I'm going to add those pieces afterwards by just colouring those in, those little bars. So I'm not going to worry about cutting them on a different piece of paper or card, so I think that could be easier. And then I created my verse, which is Ephesians 6, in my Photoshop in order to create it as a JPEG. So anything you've got that will create, you can create images or text as a JPEG or a PNG, anything like that, so it's an actual image file. You can then import it, as I think we've shown on a previous video. But just to quickly recap, all you do is you go to import to my library, it will take you to your documents, and then you just find the document that you want to import once you've created it. It then will pop it in this section called your own designs. So there it is for me, that's the one I wanted. So I'm going to double click on that. Now as you can see, because my element was still highlighted, it's put it in position in the center of my design, my image there, and kind of sized it to size. But obviously at the moment it's in front of it, so although it would cut it fine, I can't see where the cut line is. So I'm just going to click on that with my right click, click again, and I'm going to do center back, and that then just brings my scrolly bit to the front. Now as you can see, what it did was it sized it to the widest point, which is the bars, so I still need to just bring that down very slightly. So I'm just going to grab a corner and just drag that down a little bit and drag again till I'm happy with the sizing. Move it into position, because don't forget we're doing print and cut on this, so we need to be sure it's exactly where we want it to be. So it is. Now let's just off click that and then bring this up a little bit and then down a bit, because it tends to go a bit far. So we can see now that I'm fairly happy. Just nudge that across a little bit using my arrow keys. So I'm fairly comfortable that I'm happy where that is. I think that looks fine in that position. So now I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to select around both parts of my image, and I'm going to click on here which says group them together. So now when I move it, it's going to move it as one image, because I am going to need to resize this. So now I'm going to take this back down again, and I'm going to go over to here, which is my page tool here, and I'm going to see, and it hasn't got it, so I'm going to have to put this in. I want to do it for an 8 by 8, so I'm just going to take this down. Whoops, overdoing it there, that's it. I'm going to take that one down. Now I could have done that by typing it in if I wanted to, but that's going to be the size of my card, I believe. So I'm mainly taking account of this actual paper size, because these pieces, well, the width is correct of those obviously, but they're going to be slightly closer to the paper. So I'm just going to grab the corner and take it down, because I'm trying to think about the fact that I've got my two girls in there, and they're 5. I originally done them for, let's bring one in actually, that might help. Where are they? There's one here. Let's bring her in. So I'm going to change her to where is it? I want scale. I'm going to change her to 5 inches tall, so that I can just judge. Oh, she's going to go skinny, but fat rather, but don't worry. It's just so I can judge the height. I'm going to send her to the back because I can't tell. Okay, so she's going to be kind of that height, so that's going to be a little bit big still. So we're looking at about that. Oh, that's probably a bit small. Maybe about there. I think that will be good. So I've got that all ready to go. I'm going to put that back now to my page size being A4, probably landscape. Position that in the center, put my registration marks in place, and that will also be then ready to print and cut, and we'll save that. And that's going to go in my Silhouette folder. That's cool. So that's saved, and then I'm also going to now open up my girls. So I've got both pages ready to go. So we've got our scroll ready to print and cut. So I've got to go and print that and then bring it over to cut it. And then I've got my girls ready to cut as well. Okay, so here's our two girls all coloured in. So they're ready to go, and they've got their registration marks on. So we're taking a risk that we believe in our silhouette to cut this accurately. And then I've got my little scroll to be, again with the registration marks, and I've printed that off on a slightly creamier cardstock. It's almost more taupey than cream. If you look at the two, that's white, and then that one you can see it's quite a browny, sort of it's quite a dark cream. So once I ink that around the edges, I think that's going to look really good. So now all I'm going to do is put my girls first. I'm going to put those on my mat, and then we're going to cut those out. Okay, so I've put that on the mat, and then we're just going to switch the machine on, and you can see how we've got my pretty little cover here that we made before, so that's still going well. So then we're going to load our mat. So I'm just going to make sure I line it up here with this little mark, although it doesn't actually matter so much because we've got the registration marks on there. Then we're going to go to the computer and we're going to and then it's just looking for those little marks in the corner, understanding exactly where they are, because then that tells it where our girls are, because we've already set the cut lines in relation to those registration marks. So then by detecting that, it completely tells it exactly where to do the cutting. And then we're going to click cut and off it goes. Okay, so there's our two girls. I've peeled them off the mat now, so you can see where I haven't taken the inner pieces out, but I didn't particularly worried about that on this occasion. I was just wanting to cut around the edge, and I think you can see it's done a really crisp, lovely job, and I'm very pleased with that, and the colouring, so I'm pleased with that. So now I've loaded my mat for my scroll and I'm ready to go on that. And as you can see, it's cut that out beautifully. I think that looks really, really nice. I'm pleased with that. And then we've got our little poles down there which I'll colour in as well. So that's going to be good. So now we're going to go over to our table and start putting this card together. And then I've got my two girls here cut out, which I think looks so cute. So again, put those to one side for the moment. And then we've got my passage here and my two little tops of my scroll, which all need colouring. So I'm just going to put down my little matte sheet thing here, and we're going to start inking and colouring these pieces up. So the first thing I'm going to do is colour my two poles here. So I've got two Copic markers, E29 and E37, and I'm just going to take the E29 on the wide edge, and I'm just literally going to go across it like so, and then taking the other colour into the centre, just blending that through there, and then going across to the edge, and then again just taking that other one and blending it through in the middle, and going back to the edges just to darken those off a bit. Like so, and then just going through the middle again. So you're just trying to make sure that line's blended through like so. Then we're going to pop that to one side for a minute to dry out, and then get the next one like so. So that looks good, and then I'm just going to pop that to one side as well now. Now we use our ink on this, and I've got this gorgeous Anna Griffin warm grey, and I think this is going to be really nice for what I want on here. So I'm just going to pop some on my sponge and just very gently go around these edges, adding a bit of the warm grey. Now the reason I went for this colour was because it matched in with the colours of the colouring on the girls, and I think that just brings it all together. There we go. So quit while we're ahead, I think. And pleased with that. Oops. So I'm going to let these pieces dry for a minute, but while that's drying, I do think that looks nice, we'll get on to the next part of the card.
Okay, so what I've done is I've made a card base 8x8 using my easy peasy card method. So if you go to that video, if you've not seen it, you'll be able to see exactly how I've made this card base. And unusually for a square card, I'm going to have it as a side opening. And then I've prepped some papers, etc. from K & Company to make my layering. But the first thing I'm going to do is just work on the inside, just to get that done, because I always find that easier to do the inside first, give it a chance, otherwise the outside will be wet and you'll be moving things around. So I've just taken some scraps of the paper that we had, and I'm just going to pop that in here like so. And then we've got a really pretty piece on the inside there. Then we're going to take this piece that I've got here, and I just had a scrap that was actually the torn edge, but I thought that was quite cute, and I'm just going to get my bit of sponge and just run that along. And around these edges as well. Not so bothered about the bottom, top edge, because that's going to be covered. So just do that. There we go. And then I'm going to stick that down. And that's going to go on here. And then I've got a tiny piece of this black, which is also used on the front, so I'm just going to pop that on the top edge of the top piece of this here, which I'd obviously cut down to size, and then I can put my sentiment in there, which I'll do later. Okay, so now we're on the front. Oh, hang on. I was going to pop this down there. There we go. I'm just going to stick that piece like so. And then again, just using my scissors to cut the excess off. And then we've just got that panel down the edge there, so that just pushes that edge up. Okay, so now coming onto the front, I've already pre-cut some paper again from that same collection, and we've got here some gorgeous kind of black text paper, and then some lovely floral. So I'm going to put the black on first. So again, just using my ATG. Now this is cut to an 1/8 of an inch down from the 8 inches. So just a tiny bit down, just so we've got a little gap of the cream. Just making sure it's the right way up, because this does have a direction. Okay, pop that down. So that looks nice. And the reason I did that was because it just brings in a little bit of this darker grey colour, oops, that the girls have got on them. So then we've got this very pretty kind of floral pattern. So again, that's bringing in those colours. And this is an 1/8 of an inch down from the black, so this would be 7 3/4 square approximately. And we'll pop that one down. Oops, that definitely has a direction. And that was the upside down one. Whoops. And then just put that in like so. that just gives a small border of the black there. Now I've got here 3 pieces of paper. So I've got this gorgeous green kind of check, which I've done at 3 inches, I think it was. No, 3.5 inches deep by obviously 8 inches wide. Then a piece of the black, which is roughly 2 inches, maybe 2.25. Then I've got a piece of cream cardstock, which is about 1.5 inches. Now the reason I've got the cream is not because it's going to show particularly, it's actually just as a base for my ribbon, because my ribbon is a gorgeous crushed silk and the black shows through, so it was spoiling the colour of it, so I wanted to make use of the cream cardstock just to keep the colour pure of the ribbon. So we've got a nice border of each there, and then I've cut a piece of my crushed ribbon here, and it's absolutely lovely, really pretty, and we're going to pop that just over the top like that. Now I'm not going to stick it down on the front, I'm just going to put some adhesive on the ends of the ribbon. Oops. And some on this end as well. And then we'll get the ribbon, place it over the cream here. And then the other side as well. There we go, and so that's given us a really pretty effect there. And then I'm just going to take that and pop that, I guess, not quite halfway up, maybe just slightly low of halfway, like so. So we're going to pop that down there, and I'm going to do that with my 18G. Hopefully that will be okay, because this is quite thin ribbon, so I don't think that we'll need to worry about having a bump with this, and that should go on fine. There we go, and I think that looks really pretty. Okay, so I'm pleased with that. So now we need to start putting these ladies on and my scroll. So I'm going to grab my scroll, and I need to think about exactly how I want this done. I think we want to just stick it slightly on the top edge of and the bottom edge of the, I don't know, I say that, but I'm not sure if it shouldn't be underneath. Yeah, so we're going to get my little zig pen here, and I'm just going to run along the edge here, and then taking, so I didn't really need to worry too much about the colour on the middle of that, and then just taking my scroll here, just carefully sticking that down. You can see actually the shape of it is there for that, because obviously the scroll part would go across the little wood rollers. I think that looks really effective. I'll show you on there, look. That looks really good, pleased with that. So we're going to have that. That's going to kind of go somewhere here. Not exactly sure yet. Okay, so I think that's about good position. So let's get the glue gel and start sticking these bits down. So we need to put the scroll in place first, really. So let's just put the girls across to one side a little bit, and then get my glue gel and put some big fat blobs of glue gel on the back, because I want it nice big amount of height. Okay, whoops, don't want it upside down. And then just gently bend it. It's got a bit of an S to it. which I should have done before I put the glue on it, but anyway, not to worry. And then we'll pop that like so. So it's not exactly flat, you can just see from the side and the top it's got a bit of a curve to it, just so it makes it a little bit less dull. Gives it a bit more life, realism. And then we're going to put some glue gel on the back of our little Viking girl here. Okay, whoops. So we'll pop her down next. So she's going to be I kind of want her in the corner. And the reason that we've got the little Vikings is this is Ephesians, which is the armour of God verse. So that's obviously why we've got the two little kind of girls in their armour. And of course what's happening is I'm pulling that too far down and my ribbon's moving, so let's just push that up. That's better. That's better. There we go. There we go, that's better. Happier with that. Right, now we're going to put this one on and pop her in position. Now I just want to get her shield. There's like a little curve in the text and I want her shield just kind of in that. There we go. So that's those two in position. Okay, so I just added a bit of ribbon just down that side there because I thought that would just look nice, adding that little bow. I just very carefully just knotted it up and I think that just finishes that off there nicely. So now the only thing I think I want to do is just put some pearls in the corners. Okay, so I've got this Creative Expressions pearl swirl and I think this would look really nice in this corner up here, just to add a little something. So I'm just going to cut a little section off the bottom here. I think that will be just a small piece there. So just very carefully pulling it off the backing. They do tend to stick to themselves, these. So we're just gently fiddling around until we get it in the position we want. There we go. So that's that corner done. I think that looks really nice. And then maybe just a little bit coming out over here, I think. I think that would look really good. So we're just going to pull this section off because we don't need all of that. Pop this down in position. Let's just see where we want it to be. So we want it to start there. that piece off there. Or cut that piece off, I should say. There we go. So that's that done. And I think that finishes that off really nicely. And then all I'm going to do is take these big black pearls here and put them in the corners. So there's the outside of our card done. And I think just adding that pearl swirl really just finished that off nicely. And then on the inside we've just got this, and then I just need to write my message, so that gives me somewhere to write, and we've got that nice extra area there. So I hope you like this card. I'm really pleased with it. I think it's turned out really well. I was wondering, you know, I wasn't quite sure exactly. I only had a vague idea of what I was trying to achieve, so I'm actually really pleased with the end result, and I hope you like it as much as I do. Thank you for watching, and I'd love to hear your comments. See you again soon. Bye.